Hello YouTube. Alright, so I got myself a custom reel paint job for you. This is going to be the coronavirus survival reel. And it's super easy to do, super awesome, super cool. I can't believe how cool this turned out. So I'm just going to run the tape. You got to check this out, just so you know what you're getting into. This is freaking awesome. You can't tell me that's not awesome. If you don't like that, I don't know what's wrong with you. This sucker looks nice. Alright, so this was super easy to do. I'll tell you how to do it too. First of all, I just want to say this is the first time I ever painted a reel. I've never painted a rod, never painted a spinning reel, baitcaster, none of that. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm telling you, it's super easy. Alright, so first things first, you got to go to your hardware store. You got to get yourself some spray paint unless you already have some. Now, when you're getting spray paint, so I have Rust-Oleum. This is two of the exact same kind of spray paint. Now, there's different types of spray paint, and you can have trouble when you blend spray paint that are two different types of spray paint. And sometimes you can even have trouble with two different brands, but it's the same kind of spray paint. So, I recommend you just play it safe. You get the same type of spray paint and you get the same brand. So in my case, I got Rust-Oleum. This is an ultra cover. It's 2 times as much, and it has a paint and primer. So I'm like, it's got everything. And the most important thing is it covers metal and plastic. So this was a winner for me. So this worked out great. From now on, this is just what I'm going to use. And I'm not sponsored or anything by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody. But it worked. So, yeah. So these, that's the ticket right there. So I bought those. So I also got some tools. I got a bunch of little tools to take apart your baitcaster. If you've never taken apart a baitcaster before, I don't want to be the one to teach you how to do it. But if you do decide to take apart your baitcaster, one tip that always seems to work well for me is when I take a piece apart, I put it on the table in front of me to the left, and then as I take it apart, I move it to the right, or vice versa. And I put it in order, so when I put it back together, I put it in the opposite way. So it all goes back together. I make sure stuff is facing the right way, all that stuff. The other good tip is record yourself. So if you're like, why isn't this part working right? You just watch the tape and go, oh, it needs to be flipped around, or whatever. So those are 2 little tips if you decide to take it apart. But here's the thing. You actually don't even need to take this apart to do this paint job. This is so easy. I can't believe it. Alright, so you take the painter's tape or masking tape. You cover it over the things you don't want painted. So, you know, wherever there's like some mechanics, some gears, probably want to cover that, okay? Especially in here. So when you turn your reel, you know, your line goes back and forth on a baitcaster, and it's going on that little gear track, and there's oil and grease in there. You want the masking tape to be over that. It might be under this thing that's painted right here, but over that, and you want it over where your line comes out of. You don't want paint stuck in there, messing with your line every time it comes out in cast. So put it up over that stuff, put it over your spool. I would put it over my button, but you know, you do what you want to do with the button. And my knobs and stuff, I didn't mess with any of this. None of that got painted, just the body. But before you mask it, you want to clean it. Or I guess you could clean it after you mask it. So you want to make sure you clean this. Now, when you clean this up, I used a Q-tip and I just went around the entire reel and cleaned it. I didn't even use like a cleaner solution or anything like that. I just cleaned it. And another thing is, a lot of times when people spray paint surfaces, they'll rough it up with sandpaper. And I was tempted to do that, but I thought, you know, I don't think it's going to have a problem sticking to this surface. And it didn't. So you might want to just lightly rough up your reel with sandpaper. I mean, that seems to be the preferred way to do it. I didn't do it that way, and it turned out fine. So everything stuck to it just fine. It's so glossy, it's so smooth that it looks like this was printed by a company. It's pretty freaking sweet. So you clean it all up, right? Once it's all clean, because you don't want any debris on the reel. Because if you get debris on that reel and you paint it and then the debris gets wiped off, you know, then the paint's gone too. So you'll have a spot here, a spot there that's the original color that you probably don't want to show. So clean it good, make sure it's dry, and when you're ready to paint, just take it out to open, ventilated area, you know, outside. Put down, you know, something that you feel comfortable painting on top of. And I put down a pizza box, and I probably could have used a bigger surface than a pizza box. But just put down something, newspapers, whatever you got. And then when you spray paint, I've noticed people that do a lot of spray painting, well, for one, you want to shake this for a good minute. Really shake it good. And then when they start to spray paint, they hold it upside down, right? And they get out some sprays. Psh, 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 psh. And they get out those sprays, and when they do those, I think they're getting out some of that thick initial paint because they don't want it, you know, to get like a texture on whatever they're painting. So they do that. So get out a few sprays, and then when you start to spray, don't have a perfect 90-degree angle. You know, tilt it a little bit, you know, whichever direction you want to go. So if you're painting a reel, start here to the side of it and paint past it. And then past it. So you start spraying over here. You see what I'm saying? And so you spray past it, because when you spray directly onto it, it's going to get thick on there. And when it gets thick, it gets drippy. You don't want it to get thick and drippy. And that brings me to my other point. You want to keep this a good 18 inches away and spray from a little far away. And you can work in a little closer as you feel necessary. But it's better to do multiple passes and build up that nice thickness you want than to try to do it at once. That's how you get drips. I don't have any drips on this, so it worked out for me. So you want to start 18 inches away and then maybe get in a little closer. I don't think you ever need to get closer than like 10 inches. You're really flirting with getting drips when you start getting close like that. And you might want to change your angles and just do little sprays at a time and really just make sure you get a good coat on everything. And certain areas you got to hit it from a few different angles so that you get it all covered nice in there. And just work your way around it and make sure you cover the whole thing. And then it says to let it dry for like 20 minutes. I always let things dry for at least 30 minutes. And so that's what I did. I actually had somewhere to be in 30 minutes after I put this black coat on. So I started spray painting this the next day. And so I took this outside again, and I noticed the bottom wasn't hit well because it was on the Domino's box. So I flipped it upside down and I started hitting the bottom with that spray paint, just like I did before, and I got a nice coat on that bottom part. So then once I got it fully covered in that black that I like, then I let it dry for at least 30 minutes. And it was outside in 86-degree temperature as well in Florida. So I should point that out. If you're in a much different climate, just read the back of this and see how long you need things to dry for whatever spray paint you're using. But so after I spray painted the back, I let it dry, and then I took my red spray paint and I did the same thing. I went through the process. I shook it, I sprayed some out, and then I took a bag, a grocery bag, and I sprayed into it, and I made a nice puddle right in that bag. And then I took my brush. You don't have to take a brush. You could have gloves on. You could stick your fingers in gloves. You could stick like one of those popsicle sticks in there. You could stick your Q-tips in there. And you could, different type of painting brush. You know, you could do all kinds of stuff. Stick it in there and then use that to flick at it. Now, I made sure, because I wanted this to look like blood was hitting the front of it and going that way and not from behind. Because if it's blood's hitting from behind, that's my blood. I'm not surviving if it's my blood coming on. So I wanted to hit the front. So I made sure the stuff was facing towards me there, and I threw the blood at it that way. So I threw it all around there, got those nice splats on there, and it looks cool. And so I just did that as much as I needed to do and dip back in the red. Now I used a 1.5 inch, one of those disposable ones. I think I wouldn't go any bigger than that. I think that's as big as you need to go. Because if you go bigger than that and you dip too much and you go like that, you might just get a giant blob of red across there and it'd be too much. So I think that 1.5 inches that I used is the maximum. And it worked out great for me. I think so anyways. Then, simple. You let it dry again for another 30 minutes or whatever you feel comfortable doing. And then from there, it's super easy. You take off the tape. You take off tape. Guess what? You're at the finish line because it's done. If you took it apart like I took it apart, then yeah, you got to put it back together. And that's it. It's so simple. It really is. I can't believe how simple it was. I can't believe how good it turned out. I think this is freaking awesome. If you like videos like this, I'll just let you know right now. I have a couple spinning reels that I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to do some pretty awesome things to these. I already got ideas, and I have a couple old bait casters. So here's some three old bait casters I have right here. How well you can see those guys, but so I got some projects coming that's similar to this as far as in the paint category, custom paint stuff. But I am going to keep making my fishing videos where I'm catching fish. So if you guys like this, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see some more. Tell me in the comments below if you want to see more of this so that I do make sure that I deliver on making some more content like this. And also, this would help out the channel a lot. If you think people need to see this, if you think you know someone that needs to see the coronavirus survival bait casting reel, or the zombie apocalypse surviving bait casting reel, the zombie hunter bait casting reel, paint job, all that good stuff, you need to share it. Share the video. Help out the channel. Real journey. Alright. So I'm going to do a lot more of this stuff. And I think this was really cool. I think it turned out really cool. I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm going to do some more that I hope turns out even better. And honestly, once I get some practice under my belt with these, well, how many I have? 3, 4, 5, 6 And I have some new ones that I actually use, and once I go through these and these all look good and I feel comfortable with stuff, I am going to do some more. I might do my reels, my good stuff. I'm gonna do, but I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. You know, I have no idea, but I'm gonna make sure it looks good, whatever I do. So I'm gonna make a bunch more of these videos. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified when I post a new video, so you can be on top of all the good content that's coming out. Alright, hit that like button, comment below. I will respond to your comments. And on top of that, the real journey continues. And we're out. That's a wrap. Peace!